year's session. Visit amity.edu/Hyderabad.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
जब मुंबई से वापस कोल्हापुर शिफ्ट हुआ तो सबने कहा कि ड्रीम सिटी को छोड़ रहा है। ड्रीम सिटी, मैंने कहा ड्रीम में तो यही गलियां आती। तो जब ये रियलाइज हुआ कि कुछ बड़ा करने के लिए बड़े शहर में रहने की जरूरत नहीं, तब लगा कि लाइफ में ग्रो किया।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, एवरीडे।
Sarah, this is your space, play it your way.
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, एवरीडे।
The Russian President Vladimir Putin's anticipated visit to India sends an unmistakable message to Donald Trump and Europe that Russia remembers.
Hi there, welcome back to your favorite deep dive show on stories contemporary and consequential for India. This episode comes to you from Israel. I traveled from the Golan Heights to Haifa, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, from the entrance of the Gaza Strip to where it all began, the Nova Music Festival site of October 7, 2023 attack of Hamas. What comes out of this journey is a story of a nation in perpetual conflict, but drawing from an inexhaustible supply of resolve, perhaps going back millennia. It's the story of Israel and its 8-front war. Let's get going. This is the picture of the founder of modern Israel. His name is David Ben-Gurion. He was the leader of the Israeli Defense Forces through much of the 1940s and established the State of Israel in 1948, much against the wish of its neighborhood, against the teeth of opposition. And that pretty much explains the existential angst that has defined modern history of Israel through much of its existence. Just last week, during excavations around the Temple Mount, a coin was found. It dated back to 74 AD and spoke about a Jewish rebellion against the Romans, who had thrown out the Jews around that time and captured Jerusalem. The Jews were rebelling then, revolting then, and in some ways, they continue to do it even now. I got a glimpse of this existential angst at the Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, at the Nir Oz kibbutz near the Gaza Strip, and even more poetically at Mazdal Shams in the mountains of Golan Heights. It is here in this village that on July 27 last year, a Hezbollah rocket from the other side, from Lebanon, came in, fell on a football field, killing 12 children, mostly teenagers and younger, when they were busy playing soccer. We are in Mazdar Shams village in Golan Heights of Israel, and this spot is a football field, and this was a scene of a massacre of innocent children playing soccer on 27th of July last year. These are the pictures. These villagers call them their 12 angels. A rocket came in from just behind this hill, if I could ask that hill to be shown, just to give you an idea of how close Lebanon and the Hezbollah are. Just across the hill is Lebanon, this side is Israel, and a rocket came in. These kids were playing here, and I will introduce each one of them to you. We have spoken to their mothers. There was a ceremony here that took place just a while back, a somber ceremony remembering those angels, as this village calls them now. And look at those 12 kids. I would read their name so that we have it, their memories for our record also. Amir Abu Saleh, age 16. Yazan Abu Saleh, both brothers, age 11. Johnny Ibrahim, age 12. Fajr Abu Saleh, age 16. Naji Halabi, age 11. Alma Fakhr Alden, age 11. Milar Shar, age 10. Hazem Abu Saleh, age 15. Ezel Ayub, age 12. Nazim Saab, age 16. Guevara Ibrahim, age 11. Venice Safadi, age 11. Some of them wanted to become soccer players, some of them wanted to become basketball players.
מהדקה הראשונה אנחנו 12 המשפחות עמדנו ואמרנו, הילדים שלנו שגרירי שלום, הם מתו במלחמה, אנחנו לא רוצים שאף ילד ואף בן אדם ימות, אנחנו לא רוצים לנקום מאף אחד, לא מחיזבאללה, לא מאף אחד, אנחנו רוצים לחיות בשלום, רוצים שלום לכל העולם. אתה לא הספקת לראות את הוידאו שצילם את הבן שלי, אני אעביר לך את זה. הוא אמר, אני ואתה נשנה את העולם, באהבה ותקווה נעשה הכל בעברית. כולנו חברים, כולנו אחים, רוצים לחיות בשקט ובשלום.
All the 12 families think. They call them angels, not just angels, angels of peace. I think she showed you the video saying, me and you are going to change the world. That's what they want. They want peace. They don't want to revenge. They don't want nothing. The only thing they want, peace. So if Hezbollah will make peace with Israel, for them, that's what they want. They don't want to kill anyone. They don't want anyone to die.
I lost my daughter, my beloved one. She was a sandwich, you know. But when I looked at the kids, they deserve a better life. They deserve to live their childhood away from wars, to live it with full of happiness and safe, with dignity. But I'm asking the whole world right now, what more needs to be done to understand that? We are smart enough to believe that we can live together. All we need that acceptance. I'm not going to say peace. Peace, it's a beautiful word, but it's too much for this world. I'm going to say acceptance. When we accept each other, we can live because we share humanity. So we can live together. Of course, I believe for her. You know that Alma recorded videos talking about bullying? Not only talking, she took action. She stood beside a girl, 6-year-old, that her friends were making jokes about her. She stood by her, promising to meet her weekly in order to bring joy into her life. She believed in justice in this world. She hated injustice and inhumanity.
This is story of the Druze village of Masdal Shams, and the way it is responding to it that gives you an understanding of how Israel as a nation has turned tragedies like this into stories of resolve to tackle that existential angst. The story of India's diplomatic ties with Israel is a story of India's confusion on this issue from early years of independence. Mahatma Gandhi thought that the Jews had equal, if not more right than the Palestinians on this land. He also thought that the Jews had an earlier right than the Palestinians over this land. And yet, he was not sure how it would go from there. Like many other things in life, that confusion almost got carried into India's foreign policy. Pandit Nehru refused to recognize Israel in 1948. Physicist, scientist Albert Einstein wrote to him, asking him, pleading him, requesting him to do so. But he said no. In his response to Einstein, Pandit Nehru said that he was not sure how the larger Arab world would see India's position on Israel. Also, he wrote in the same letter that the new India's new minority, that of Muslims, had a certain view on Palestine and that he would not want to go against that view. Effectively, Muslims of New India exercised a veto on India's foreign policy in West Asia. We did finally recognize Israel in 1950 under Pandit Nehru, and a A consulate was set up in 1953 in Mumbai, but then things stopped there. Nothing moved. And then we had to wait till 1992, when a non-Nehru, non-Gandhi Prime Minister in P.V. Narasimha Rao decided to establish full diplomatic ties with Israel, exchanging ambassadors between Tel Aviv and New Delhi. We are at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel in Jerusalem, and this plaque is dedicated to David Levy. He was Foreign Minister of Israel 3 times between 1990 and the year 2000. Remember also the period when the Oslo Accords were signed, and he was in the midst of intense diplomacy. He improved relationships of Israel with many nations around the world, got diplomatic relations, established, this plaque says, with about a dozen odd countries, including world powers. And what is interesting is that it says his contribution strengthened Israel's status among nations and won the esteem of many countries, including the United States, China, Russia, India, Japan, and Arab countries. So India is specifically mentioned as one nation with which Israel improved its relationship during that period. Remember, that is the decade, 1992 to be very specific, when the then government of P.V. Narasimha Rao established a diplomatic relationship with Israel, something Nehru had not agreed to back in 1948. For whatever reasons, it thought that the Nehru government thought that it would offend its relationship with the Arab world, and maybe there was a home constituency of the Muslim community also to address, which many believe was part of Muslim appeasement politics. More of it later. Remember, all this while, Israel, with its tremendous military experience, helped India in its wars, be it 1965, 1971, or the Kargil War. Even the latest episode of Operation Sindur, we had Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu clearly saying that yes, we did help, and our platforms, battle-tested platforms and not lab-tested platforms, weapon systems, worked fantastically well. Israel effectively, so far as India's foreign policy is concerned, was like that cousin you hide from the rest of the world for some strange reason. Till Narendra Modi happened. He set the ball rolling when he became Prime Minister in 2014 and, in fact, became the first head of the state of India to visit Israel in 2017. That pretty much explains the state of affairs and how it went on for decades insofar as India-Israel ties are concerned. To assess the present state of our ties, I traveled to Haifa in northern Israel. It has the largest port of the country and is run by an Indian company. It is in many ways now a symbol of collaboration on strategic domain and industrial domain together between India and Israel. In fact, the story of Haifa goes back a century to the World War I. Take a look. Haifa in Israel has been in news of late. The Haifa port, to be very specific, in the context of that being the entry port for the India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor into Europe. We are in Haifa. This is the Haifa Cemetery, and this is a place which memorializes a battle, the Battle of Haifa during the First World War. And the Battle of Haifa was won for the British against the Ottomans by Indian soldiers, 29 of whom are memorialized here. And this is a stone in memory of them. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was here in 2017. It says, Om Bhagavate Namah, Ek Omkar. 29 soldiers of the Indian Army are honored here, which includes 29th Lancers, the Deccan Horse, Sawar Bhoma Singh, Bhoop Singh, Sawar Ramlal Ranjit Singh. Then you have 105th Maratha Light Infantry, you have 91st Punjabis Light Infantry, you have the Sikhs Frontier Force, and you of course have the Jodhpur Lancers, Jaipur Lancers, and the Mysore Lancers. Now, in Delhi, we know we have the Teen Murti Chowk redesignated as the Teen Murti Haifa Chowk, because the Teen Murti also memorializes this very Battle of Haifa. So this is the connect between Haifa, the century-old connect between Haifa and Delhi, and of course IMEC, the new modern 21st century connect between the two nations. Israel, of course, wanting to become a full member of IMEC, for which we spoke to the head of the Middle East Bureau in Jerusalem, Jonathan Zatka. Listen to him. Is I2U2 doing fine? Because it's a grouping between India, Israel, UAE and the United States. No adverse effect of this war on I2U2?
Look, the war affected many things. I think different elements of priorities and different sorts of engagement. For us, when you look at the I2U2 element, the India, Israel, United Arab Emirates and United States cooperation, the fact that we are able to carry on and having a meaningful discussion through it is extremely important, and hopefully we will be able to see results soon.
All right. And finally on IMEC, which is a development that has taken place recently, is still in the works, while Israel is part of that geography which we talk about, India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. I believe Israel is not a signatory. Does it affect Israel's involvement with IMEC?
So Israel is not yet a signatory. We were, as you said, mentioned within the MOU. Haifa especially is mentioned as a port in the MOU. This is, again, a port in which India has a major stake in. And for us, the fact that we are not a full signatory is hopefully temporary and would be able to ratify it soon. And for Israel to join officially together with other countries like Jordan, the IMEC is extremely important for this route to actually carry weight.
And yet, Israel is a strong and vibrant democracy just like us in India. We were pleasantly surprised when we were taken to a hostages briefing by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The spokesperson assigned, a senior diplomat, a former ambassador of Israel to France, turned against his own government, lambasting the Netanyahu government for its handling of the military operations in Gaza, which were obstructing their attempts to get the hostages from the captivity of Hamas released.
There are still 50 hostages in Gaza. There were 251 at the beginning. Most of them came back through an agreement. Some came back, unfortunately, in body bags. And among the 50, there are also many, unfortunately, who are not alive. But we consider, and in Jewish tradition, it's very important, anyone as a hostage, regardless of if they are dead or alive. So, as I said, even if from the beginning it was clear that the conflict to a large extent hinges on the issue of the hostages, it's not the only issue. Yeah. But there's an issue of military balance, of fighting Hamas. But we have the impression that that has, done its role, and that we're now, the military operations we're turning in circles, and that it's time to move to the conclusion of this war through an agreement.
Or look at these protests and the voices there, slamming the Netanyahu government for sustaining the wars just to sustain his leadership. Strong words against Netanyahu right outside his office in Jerusalem. What are these protests about?
Well, it's about democracy, basically. The essence of democracy. Because our government try to make us some kind of dictatorship. And it's all around it. Because of this, the war continue in Gaza with no...
You mean to say that...
No target, nothing.
You mean to say the war should stop?
Long time ago. Most of the people in Israel think so. We disagree with what's happening there. We just want our people back. There's something the other nations don't understand. When somebody is taking one of our own, we can be very brutal. This is something the Hamas knows, the rest of the world doesn't know it. But besides this, the force, there is nothing to do anymore.
We are at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel in Jerusalem, and just finished a briefing by the Foreign Minister, Gideon Sa'ar. He's leaving for the United Nations in New York tonight. And before that, he did this briefing in which he really slammed some of the Western nations for the kind of position they have been taking on Hamas and the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza. Because remember, we have seen in the last 10 days about 15 nations, including the United Kingdom and France and Canada, announcing that they're going to recognize the state of Palestine if the war does not stop. Israel believes that the war can end only if the hostages, the remaining hostages are released by Hamas from their captivity. When October 7 attacks happened, remember they had taken about 251 hostages, of which about 150 were released and some are not accounted for, but 50 remain in captivity with the Hamas in Gaza. That brings us to Benjamin Netanyahu, the leader who came out as a man of clarity and conviction when we met him at his office in Jerusalem. I asked him a question about the Gaza situation and also on India's relationship with Israel. On the latter, he said, it's only up, up and up. I was pleasantly surprised that he spoke with absolute clarity and with openness about India-Israel military relationship. And that's surprising because most of the Israeli diplomats try to brush it under the carpet, also the Indian side. But more significantly, he said he would be sanguine on Gaza. With the doubling down of military operations, he said that Israel and Netanyahu himself might get into momentary isolation. But if they come out victorious of their Hamas war on the other side, which he was very confident of, then in that case, the geopolitics of the world would realign and Israel would be shaping the narrative.
אנחנו צריכים להמשיך לעמוד יחד ולהילחם יחד כדי להשיג את מטרות המלחמה שהצבנו, את כולן. את הכרעת האויב, שחרור חטופינו, והבטחה שעזה לא תהווה יותר איום על ישראל. בהמשך השבוע אני אכנס לקבינט כדי להנחות את צה"ל כיצד להשיג את שלוש המטרות הללו, כולן בלי יוצא מן הכלל.
In fact, it seems that Netanyahu has his ear to the ground as it comes out from this vox pop from the Western Wall, the Wailing Wall in Old Jerusalem. Your homeland has been in the midst of a lot of wars.
Correct.
Israel-Iran war, Israel-Hamas war, Israel-Houthi war,
yes.
Israel-Hezbollah war.
Yes, before the light comes a lot of darkness. So there's going to be a very bright period, a very bright future. But when there's challenges, that shows you got to push through, and then the light will come. Mashiach is eternal light.
But you think the war should end sometime?
Of course, we have to show more strength to fend off the enemies. Show more strength, and then they'll surrender. That's all we can do. Otherwise, it will keep going.
Did you hear Prime Minister Netanyahu has decided that the Israeli forces will again go in Gaza and completely capture the territory and
really?
Yes.
Oh, amazing!
You approve of that?
I don't know geopolitics a lot, but I know that that's part of the land that God gave to Abraham. It's part of the land of Israel, and it was a mistake to give it away, as we see what Hamas did to it. And in my personal opinion, I don't think there's another solution to have Hamas or a Palestinian Authority run that place, because we see that they run themselves into the grave, and they could have made it into Singapore. They could have made it into it's beach town. You could literally made it into Miami Beach, but they ran that to shit. And I think the Israeli government's doing a good job taking care of their Arab population. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you so much.
All right, God bless.
So that really gives you an idea of the kind of connect that Netanyahu has, it seems, with the ground, because remember, we met Prime Minister Netanyahu. He exactly said things like, people understand the language of his strength, people understand the language of power, and we really need to make sure, that's what Prime Minister Netanyahu said, that we go back into Gaza and make sure that Hamas is completely decimated. I asked Netanyahu in that interaction that if the war is stopped in Gaza, what he thought of a Nobel Peace Prize, like his friend Donald Trump. He said, well, he would not bother about an award from a Scandinavian municipality. He was condescending. But then he also narrated a story. He said that when the funeral of former Prime Minister of Israel, a Nobel laureate, Yitzhak Rabin, was going on, someone who had participated in the peace process, Oslo Accords, a leader whispered in his ears, in Netanyahu's ears, that maybe if he could solve Palestine and follow the path of Yitzhak Rabin, he could get a Nobel Peace Prize. To which Netanyahu responded by saying that no, he would rather be guided by his own national interest. That seems to be the Israeli strategy going forward, and perhaps forever. Thanks for watching.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डवेयर मसाला।
माय बर्थडे गिफ्ट टू पापा, ये उनके पापा की पहली गाड़ी एक गैराज में पड़ी थी दार्जिलिंग में। जब इसे फाइनली घर लाया ना, तब लगा लाइफ में ग्रो किया। बुलाओ।
SIP करो, इन्वेस्ट करो, लाइफ में ग्रो करो।
प्रतिभूति बाजार में निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। निवेश करने से पहले सभी संबंधित दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े। क्या निराला MDH मसाला। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
The Indian Ministry of Defence's decision to pause the acquisition of 6 additional
हरसिल धराली आपदा रेस्क्यू का 5वां दिन है और लगातार ये अभियान यहाँ पर जारी है। लगातार श्रद्धालुओं को लाया जा रहा है। 5वें दिन भी आप देख सकते हैं जहाँ एक तरफ खाद्य सामग्री पहुँचाई जा रही है, वहीं लगातार जो लोग वहाँ पर फंसे हैं उनको लाने का काम लगातार किया जा रहा है। यहीं से ही रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन लगातार संचालित किया जाता है। सुबह से देर शाम तक ये रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन चलता है। मौसम बाधा बनता है तो रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन को रोक दिया जाता है, लेकिन मौसम साथ देता है तो लगातार यहाँ से रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन ये चलता हुआ नज़र आता है। अब तस्वीरों में देख सकते हैं लगातार यहाँ पर जो श्रद्धालु फंसे हैं उन्हें लाने का काम लगातार किया जा रहा है और यहाँ से 8 चॉपर लगातार संचालित होते हैं। ये तस्वीर देखिए आप, बच्चे भी यहाँ पर हैं, मासूम से ये तमाम लोगों को लाया जा रहा है। दूर के ये श्रद्धालु हैं और उत्तराखंड पुलिस, SDRF, NDRF लगातार यहाँ पर इस ऑपरेशन को लगातार संचालित कर रही हैं। IDP जवान के गोद में आप देख सकते हैं मासूम सी गुड़िया, बच्चे छोटे छोटे दूर के हैं और देखिए किस तरह से सेना यहाँ पर काम करती है। वो तस्वीर भी आप लगातार देख रहे हैं और किस प्रकार रेस्क्यू कर यहाँ पर लाया जा रहा है। मासूम छोटे से बच्चे हैं और देखिए IDP के जवानों ने गोद में इन बच्चों को उठाया है। ये तस्वीर कहाँ?
46।
आप कहाँ से?
गुजरात से।
गुजरात से आए?
हाँ।
कितने दिन से फंसे थे?
4 वहाँ था 5 दिन हो गया कल से।
अच्छा, अब आ गए हैं, आप ठीक महसूस कर रहे हैं?
हाँ।
आप कहाँ से?
गुजरात
से ही हैं? कितने लोग आए थे आप गुजरात से? 102 लोग। सभी लोग आ गए हैं?
आधा कल के पहुँच गए, वातावरण खराब था इसलिए हमको कल रहे।
102 लोग आप लोग गुजरात से आए थे, सभी लोग निकल रहे हैं?
हाँ, अभी सब पीछे है।
हाँ, पीछे। हाँ, तो ये देखिए 102 लोगों का ग्रुप जो गुजरात से आया था, लगातार उनको रेस्क्यू कर मातली हेलीपैड लाया जा रहा है। बहुत से लोग आ गए हैं, बहुत से लोगों को आज लाना बाकी है, लेकिन लगातार जो गुजरात के श्रद्धालु है उनको लाने का काम लगातार किया जा रहा है। इसके साथ ही महाराष्ट्र के श्रद्धालुओं के पूरे प्रदेश की बात की जाए, देश की बात की जाए, जहाँ से भी श्रद्धालु यहाँ पर आए हुए हैं उन सभी को लाने का प्रयास लगातार किया जा रहा है। मौसम ने साथ दिया तो आज सभी को लाया जाए।
Amity is proud to announce the commencement of its 12th university in India, Amity University, Hyderabad. At the prime location of AeroCity Hyderabad Airport, has a strong focus on high-end research with brilliant students and distinguished faculty who share our mission to change the world together. To apply for this year's session, visit amity.edu/Hyderabad.
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
Sarah, this is your space, play it your way.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डवेयर मसाला। भारत की अपनी दुकान इंडिया सोना, अपने देश का सामान इंडिया सोना।
दिया सोना।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, मसाला।
The Russian President Vladimir Putin's anticipated visit to India sends an unmistakable message to Donald Trump and Europe that Russia remembers who stood by it when others turned away. India.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching your favorite weekend program, The Long Form Story, with me, Shavin Sen. Tonight, we bring you 3 stories that have made the headlines. We're going to get you an in-depth coverage and reporting that will be able to start multiple conversations. Our first story revisits the temple town of Dharmastala that has been harboring a dark secret. Human skeletons buried in mass graves have raised unsettling questions about a hidden past. On the long-form story, the latest findings of the SIT and what's at stake. Next, we take you to the Middle East, where after a 2-year-long impasse, Israel is mulling a re-entry into Gaza with the hope of a complete annexure and return of hostages. Prime Minister Netanyahu's pledge to regain control over Gaza comes with mounting challenges and a divided political front. Republic Senior Executive Editor Abhishek Kapoor brings you the ground situation. And finally, the Augusta Westland scandal involving a 2010 helicopter deal worth over 3,700 crore rupees, which has exploded into fresh allegations of corruption. Christian Michel, the man under the spotlight, has now admitted to wrongdoing, a story that Republic has closely tracked and followed for years. On the long-form story, let's get on. In the sacred hills of Dharmastala, faith and fear now walk side by side. What was once a quiet temple town is today the epicenter of Karnataka's most chilling investigation. Human skeletons, mass graves, and whispers of violence buried for years. As the SIT digs deeper at spot number 13, every bone tells a story. And every discovery raises the same haunting question: who were they? And why were they silenced?
In the shadowed hills of the Western Ghats, nestled between dense forests and ancient shrines, lies a town that has long stood as a symbol of peace, service, and unwavering tradition. Dharmastala. A name that resonates with devotion, a name that commands reverence across Karnataka. But today, the silence of this sacred land is pierced not by the chants of pilgrims or the chimes of temple bells, but by the metallic clang of shovels and the slow, measured steps of forensic investigators. What began as dismissed rumors and so-called false accusations has now transformed into one of the most chilling and mysterious investigations Karnataka has seen in recent memory. human skeletal remains. Not one, not two, but multiple, emerging from the very earth at spot number 13, buried deep in the soil of Beltangadi Taluk. No flesh, no fabric, no belongings. Just bones, skulls, rib cages, traces of human life, now reduced to fragments. For years, these remnants lay silent beneath layers of mud and memory. But now, exposed to air and light, they seem to whisper secrets long buried. Let us go back in time to last week's episode. It began with disbelief. When the first bones surfaced, authorities hesitated, unsure. Some suspected them to be animal remains discarded in secrecy. The excavation moved slowly, carefully, with uncertainty and suspicion clouding every move. Forensic teams from Mangaluru and Bengaluru were brought in. Samples were gathered, tents and cordons soon marked the area. The ground was sealed, and then came confirmation these were human remains. But that chilling confirmation was only the beginning of what was to follow. This week has been a very, very crucial week as far as the entire case is concerned. With every passing hour, new discoveries came to light. 2 complete skulls were unearthed. Their condition shocked even seasoned experts. Blunt force trauma, clean, sharp incisions, cracks that suggest violence. These were not natural deaths. These were attacks. These were murders. These individuals, whoever they were, met violent ends, and their killers chose silence, choosing to bury them not just in soil, but in time. The SIT, once hesitant, has now ramped up its efforts. Reinforcements have arrived. Teams have expanded. The machinery has changed. Ground-penetrating radar, a sophisticated device used to detect underground anomalies, has now been deployed to peer deeper into the earth. With this, the SIT is not just focused on spot number 13 anymore. The search has widened, more graves may lie hidden, more secrets yet to be found. But the questions remain. Who were the victims? When did they go missing? And why here, in this isolated, hidden patch of forest? Preliminary reports suggest the bones are not from a single incident. Some are over 10 years old, some more recent, different stages of decay. This was not a one-time event, this was systematic, a method, a recurring act over time. Investigators believe there could be links to unresolved murders, missing persons, cases from the region, cases that were forgotten, closed or buried in paperwork. But there's another complication. Spot number 13 sits at the edge of 2 police jurisdictions, Beltangadi and Sulia. Jurisdictional confusion has slowed archival searches, delay in report transfers, missed connections in evidence. But the science does not wait. 4 more sites have now been identified for further examination. Each one spotted through tip-offs, drone surveys, or suspicious land topography. Villagers say they always sensed something, that unease, that fear of the unknown. Men arriving late at night whispered warnings to stay indoors. The government has now asked all Gram Panchayats in the region to report any cases of missing persons, unclaimed land, and unresolved violence over the past decade. And still, even with all these developments, we have no names, no photos, just skeletal remains. But the labs in Bengaluru are working. DNA extraction is in progress. Every fragment may help restore someone's identity, someone who went missing. Officials remain tight-lipped, but off record, some admit this case is unlike anything Karnataka has ever seen. Hidden mass graves, systematic silence, deliberate dumping of human lives. It is a crime not just of murder, but of erasure. Dharmastala, once known only for faith, now sits under the shadow of suspicion. In the heart of devotion, something else has been silently growing, a story too disturbing to ignore. While temple bells ring and lamps are lit in prayer, just a few kilometers away, another kind of ritual continues. The ritual of uncovering truth, of exhuming secrets from deep beneath the soil. Under tarpaulin covers, in hushed conversations, the SIT soldiers on. What they are digging is not just soil, but history, one that was never written, but only buried. One that speaks of shadows that lived among the faithful, of lives ended before their time, of families that may still be waiting for answers and for their loved ones. The nation watches, some with dread, others with hope, because in the end, this is not just about a case in Dharmastala. This is about memory, justice, and the uncomfortable truth that no place, no matter how sacred, is immune to darkness. The truth is surfacing slowly and painfully. And in a land known for faith, it is justice that now waits to rise from the soil.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was a morning that changed everything. On 7th of October 2023, Hamas terrorists crossed into southern Israel in a brutal and unprecedented assault that left deep scars across the nation. Nearly 2 years on, the memories of that day continue to define Israel's politics, security decisions, and the national psyche. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to reassert control over Gaza, framing it as a necessary move to secure Israel's future and bring its people back. But the ground reality is far more complex. Survivors are still grieving, families of the hostages are growing increasingly impatient, and political divides over accountability and strategy have deepened. On the long-form story, the ground reality of the Israel-Hamas conflict.
Nearly 2 years ago, Hamas terrorists unleashed a brutal assault on southern Israel, shattering lives and tearing families apart. 1,200 lives lost, 200 plus ripped off their homes and taken hostage. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has signalled plans to reassert control over Gaza, a move he frames as critical to national security. This push for re-annexation is aimed at preventing another Hamas-led assault and bringing the long-standing hostage crisis to justice.
Israel is under tremendous diplomatic pressure globally to end this war. And in the face of this kind of pressure for Netanyahu to say, no, in fact, I'm going to double down on my war on Hamas and intensify it further, then he has to have a ramp off, as the Americans would say. He said, we are going to double down on military operations. The war is going to intensify. And once it ends with the complete decimation of Hamas, we want a government there, a good government there, but not of Hamas and not of Palestine Authority. The world community can come together and decide and give a good governance structure to the people of Gaza Strip.
For Israelis, the fight for closure continues. On the ground, in the heart, and in the halls of power.
This past weekend, Hamas and Islamic Jihad cruelly released horrifying videos of our hostages, Eviatar David and Rom Broslavsky. The world witnessed their terrible condition, starved, tortured. Eviatar was forced to dig his own grave. The world saw the thick arm of the well-fed terrorist next to the starved and tortured Eviatar.
חופר את הקבר, קבר שמיד מבחינתי לי, כי כל יום שעובר הגוף שלי הולך, נחלש, נהיה רזה יותר וחלש יותר.
A young Aviatar was kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival. His present conditions haunt the nation like those of the families of 50 plus other hostages awaiting justice.
ובאמת, כל יום שהולך ועובר, הזמן נגמר, הזמן הולך ואוזל, ורק אתם תוכלו לעצור את זה, כדי שנוכל לשכב במיטה שלי.
Inside Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the government grapples with the global fallout of the conflict. The ministry has condemned Hamas's tactics, accusing them of using civilians as shields while holding hostages in tunnels.
כבר הרבה מאוד זמן, כבר כמה חודשים.
This is Jerusalem Hall of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel in Jerusalem, and we have just finished a press briefing by Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar. All the hostages on both the sides should be released, where Israel maintains that what they have are terrorists of Hamas, and the hostages, the civilian hostages, is what Hamas captured and is keeping them. In fact, he did this press conference in the backdrop of one of the hostage victims, Avitar David, whose pictures, haunting pictures, which came out just a couple of days back. He remains in the custody and captivity of Hamas in Gaza, and in many ways he has become the picture of Avitar has become the picture of the condition of hostages for the release of whom talks are going on Israel maintains it's not going to stop its war till the hostages are released, and Hamas says that's their, unfortunately, currency with which they are trading for a ceasefire.
The ministry's reports align with survivor accounts, painting a picture of calculated brutality that has fueled Israel's resolve to dismantle Hamas. In July 2025, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made his first visit to Niroz. Nearly 21 months after the attack, his promise to rebuild and bring hostages back home was met with both embraces and outrage.
מחויבות עמוקה, קודם כל להבטיח חזרתם של כל חטופינו, כולם, אבל גם מחויבות עמוקה לפעול כאן, לשקם את הקיבוץ הזה ולהחזיר חיים לאנשים.
Netanyahu's visit, seen by some as a photo op, underscored a divide. While he pledges action, survivors demand accountability for the failures of October 7. But why is it that Gaza remains the focus? Because on the ground, Israelis live with fresh memories of October 7th. Communities like Niroz and Nahalos, just miles from the border, bear scars the time hasn't healed. The need for normalcy drives daily life, even as rocket alerts persist.
There's a certain haunting eeriness as we walk around this Nir kibbutz, which remains unoccupied because all the residents, 1/4 of whom were actually massacred on October 7, 2023. Those who survived live at other places, though we are told that this is going to be re-established again. But just look at this. This is one of the houses, and this belonged to David Conio. He was 33 at that time, and then you have the entire family. So brother, sister-in-law, wife, sister, some relations, including kids, they were inside, and we are told that October 7 was a day after the Shabbat. Shabbat is typically a Jewish day, weekly off, when the entire family comes and has dinner. The entire family was here a day before, which is October 6, and about 12 or 13 of them. And on October 7, half of them perished. In fact, the two brothers were kidnapped along with the children. They were in fact inside when the terrorists came in, and they locked themselves inside, as it happens in Israeli homes. Even in kibbutz, there is a safe room. They locked themselves inside. So what the terrorists did, we are told, is that they cut off the pipe and they put it inside and turned this house. This is a gas supply line for the kitchen, and they turned the house into a gas chamber. And you can imagine what emotions this thought of a gas chamber generates in the minds of the Jewish community. And so these people inside this house were forced to come out. They came out, and they were captured, kidnapped, and they were taken to Gaza Strip. We were told that out of those 6 or 7 who were kidnapped, only 2 came back, and some were killed, and their bodies repatriated, including these little kids.
Nir Oz kibbutz, once a peaceful farming community, now a symbol of loss.
I see that this is one of the homes which lies in ruins, devastated completely, and seems it was the residence of Oded Lifshitz.
That's right.
24 years old. He was 83 at that time.
That's right.
And so, and is he abducted? Because it says bring him home now.
Actually, this is not actualized, but he was abducted here with his wife, Yocheved Lifshitz. Oded was murdered in the Gaza Strip, and Yocheved was released the 14th day of the war. She was the first lady released. Oded, 83 years old, he was a pacifist. He was a man that used to take people from the Gaza Strip to sleep in his house. They take him for different medical treatments, like oncologic treatments and dialysis treatments and so on. He really, the people that used to live in this kibbutz were the people of the left of the Israeli society that really wanted to live aside with the Palestinians. And this is the way Hamas paid to them.
The Nova Music Festival, a celebration of peace and music, turned into a slaughter. Over 200 young Israelis were killed, dozens taken hostage. The site remains untouched, a stark reminder of the attack's brutality.
We are in the midst of the Nova Music Festival spot where the October 7 terror attack began. And this has turned into a memorial where people come and pray for those who lost their lives, bless their souls. This, for example, is someone identified as Ofek Arbib. Seems like was a soldier. And story says, imagine this boy, this student who you have probably seen in your classroom, the king of his class. And then the entire story. Imagine a soldier sitting down for lunch when a woman approaches asking for charity and tells him about her family of 11 struggling to make ends meet. And basically a life sketch of Ofek. And he was here. Similarly, in this case, for example, Dor Avitam, probably he liked playing guitar, and that's why the family has put in a guitar for him at this spot. There are candles and there are prayers like these put by families, friends coming in. And then we have stories like this one. Ronnie, Polvanov, Bar Zohar, and each of them, they were here amongst the revelers of about 3,000 size, enjoying the music and dance. And that's when the terror attack happened, and about 364 of them lost their lives here only. Many of them were captured and taken back to the Gaza Strip, which is just a few kilometers from here. And since then, Israel, of course, has been in a war with Hamas.
Today, the site is a pilgrimage for families and survivors, a place to mourn and demand the return of those still in Gaza.
All those kibbutz and the Nova Festival, which were targeted by the Hamas terrorists on October 7, on that fateful day, are in this part of Israel. And this is a place which has all those cars that were destroyed, and every car, in fact, we are told, has a story. And that's why you see those QR codes. So this is a Toyota Hilux from Nir Oz, which is a kibbutz, and this QR code, if you scan, it tells you the story behind who all were there in this car when these terrorists attacked and got killed. So if you look at this, for example, we are told this is an ambulance, and the terrorists had hijacked this ambulance, and people, unsuspecting people in those kibbutz, they thought this is an ambulance coming, and that's when they got targeted and killed. In fact, there were about 8 bodies found from inside this vehicle, which used to be an ambulance. Hamas terrorists had captured it, and subsequently, of course, all the rituals and the last rites were carried out. But this really gives you an idea of the kind of scale of destruction. About 1,500 cars at this graveyard. Effectively, this is very close to Gaza Strip. Just about, we are told, 1 kilometer odd is the distance from where the Gaza Strip starts. And these Hamas terrorists carried out their air and land attack. It was a naval attack also, but this part, it was essentially a land attack with the Hamas terrorists breaking open through the walls and fences and coming in. I'll show you those couple of vehicles which were used by Hamas terrorists, improvised with machine guns, and that really gives you an idea of the kind of planning that went into the attack.
Near Nero's, the Takuma car cemetery holds the wreckage of that day. Vehicles from the Nova Festival and Kibbutzim, frozen in time. Each car tells a story of escape attempts, of lives cut short.
So if you look at these two vehicles, both Toyotas, and these are standard vehicles used in Israel, and Hamas terrorists got these from their side, from the Gaza Strip. If you look at it, absolutely normal random vehicle picked up, but look at that structure, that steel structure, on both the Toyotas, and those were used to fix their machine guns, and they came riding on these and using the part where they stood and fixed those machine guns, and then targeted those unsuspecting civilians inside the kibbutz. And you can imagine, with the kind of advantage they had of the height, they would have the number of people they could target. About 1,200 perished in that attack on October 7, and this really gives you an idea of the kind of planning that had gone into the attack carried out by Hamas. All these vehicles tell a story, and while they were brought here in a random manner, but now it seems it's become a place where a lot of people are coming to connect with the pain of the families whose members perished. And every car has a story with these QR codes giving it. In fact, this one says terrorist vehicles, Dodge, Ram, Isuzu D-Max, and so essentially one is a Toyota, the other is a Dodge.
As Israel navigates its grief, the fight for hostages and healing continues. The government remains under intense pressure to bring back its citizens. Israel seeks a path to normalcy, one step, one memory, one hope at a time.
A 3,726 crore rupees helicopter deal meant to enhance India's defense capabilities has spiraled into a massive scandal. Augusta Westland's 2010 contract sparked corruption accusations with Christian Michel, a key middleman extradited to India in 2019. Now in 2025, Michel admits to corruption, but only in Italy, not India. With ongoing investigations and political fallout, the real question remains, will the full truth ever come to light? Or is this web of deceit too tangled to unravel?
Christian, would you want to speak? Christian, would you give facts to India? Christian, will you tell the truth about those names?
वाड्रा गांधी फैमिली या कांग्रेस पार्टी के लिंक थे क्रिश्चियन मिशेल के साथ।
मैं किसी को आरोप करना मेरा काम नहीं। इन मुद्दों पर भ्रष्टाचार को लेकर के सवाल उठते हैं, लेकिन जांच दबाई दी जाती है।
You were in contact with certain bureaucrats and intermediaries here in India. Were you in touch with the Gandhi family? Those who have been named in the case, have you ever spoken to anyone?
A multi-crore VVIP helicopter deal meant to enhance India's defense quickly unraveled into a scandal. In 2010, Augusta Westland secured a Rs 3,600 to Rs 3,726 crore contract for 12 AW101 helicopters, 8 for VVIPs like the then President and Prime Minister, 4 for high priority missions. By 2011, Italian authorities accused former IAF chief SP Tyagi and family for taking bribes to rig the deal. The scandal went global. In 2018, British middleman Christian Michel was extradited from the UAE. By 2025, he admitted to corruption, but only under Italian law. So who is Christian Michel? Why is he the focal point of the case despite the other big faces? Is he a mere pawn or the kingpin?
Yeah, is this Christian Michel?
Yes, speaking.
Yeah, this is Abhishek Kapoor from Republic TV in India, New Delhi.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Michael. This is, regarding the Augusta Westland case, because a charge sheet has been filed by the CBI today.
Right.
And your name is there as an accused. So we wanted your reaction to this.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reaction is just, there doesn't ever seem to be any evidence being placed.
No, obviously they have evidence. That's why they have put you in the charge sheet. They have put your name as an accused in the charge sheet. They have evidence.
Right. But I mean, I thought I had been charge sheets already against me.
Right, and this is a fresh charge sheet in which you are named as someone who gave kickbacks to the Tyagis. You gave the money to manipulate the deal.
Oh, really? Okay, now, all right.
As the middleman, yeah.
No, I mean, there's definitely no evidence, and it's complete nonsense.
So in a twist of fate, the CBI finally got their hands on Michel and had him extradited to India. Turns out, Michel had allegedly been hired by Augusta Westland to influence a few key players, politicians and officials. Along with his partners in crime, Carlo Gerosa and Udo Hashke, he was accused of masterminding a bribery scheme to secure the lucrative deal.
Christian Michel, that we have accessed, because this is the full extradition tape. The moment he landed in India at the Indira Gandhi International Airport, the technical area side, from there he sits in the car and he's brought to the CBI headquarters late in the night, where he was questioned.
This is the cavalcade. These are the cars carrying Christian Michel. This is the security protocol. This is the security protocol. You are going to see more and more cars on your screens right now. And that is Christian Michel. First visuals on your screen. Christian, would you want to speak? Christian, would you want to speak? Christian, have you turned in a brewer? Christian, would you give facts? Christian, would you give facts? Christian, would you give facts to India? Christian, would you give facts? Christian, would you give facts at last? Christian, would you tell the truth? Christian, would you tell the truth? Christian, will 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 you tell the truth about those names? Christian, will you tell the truth about the names? What are you doing? Christian, will you tell the truth about the names? Christian, Michel, Niranjan not going. The class is covered. Yes, Christian, will you tell the truth about the family? Christian, and that's the car getting in. Christian Michel, first visuals on your screen, Niranjan, here on Republic. The cavalcade gets in. You have the senior CBI officials right there accompanying. It's an 8-car cavalcade entering the CBI headquarters.
But why was Michel so crucial? Well, in 2012, raid on Hashke's Swiss home had uncovered a diary. Nothing too dramatic, just some scribble notes with acronyms and amounts that could very well have been the smoking gun behind the entire scandal. Hashke, who later cut a deal with prosecutors, admitted the handwriting was his, but claimed Christian Michel dictated the note. The BJP, then in opposition, did not hold back, alleging that acronyms like AP and FAM stood for Congress leader like Ahmed Patel and the Nehru-Gandhi family. But the real question remains, how did these acronyms end up in the diary? And for what purpose?
This is the man who actually knows the deal at the back of his hand, and that is exactly what he's also told the Dubai investigators with regards to the people who are basically involved. He's also admitted that there are 3 individuals who are actually accused in the case that has been presented by the Indian authorities. These 3 individuals who played a very important role as far as the negotiation of the deal goes. In fact, in 2005, when Christian Michel traveled at least 9 times.
Would you like to say anything, Mr. Tyagi? Very happy. I'm very happy. Come. Sir, you are saying you are very happy. Sir, you are saying very happy. Why am I, sir? Sir, why are you asking me this question? Why are you asking me this question? Who are you? Firstly, tell me who are you? Who are you? Sir, I'm a journalist. ना देखो, what journalist यार? Journalist तो सभी होते हैं. कौन हो तुम? क्या कोई आप मेरे मुंह देखिए तमीज से बात करेंगे आप. हाँ ये नहीं कर सकते आप. मेरे को तंग नहीं कर सकते आप, है ना? आपको सवाल पूछना बात और है, लेकिन तंग नहीं कर सकते. ये नहीं कर. You know this.
In 2012, the government ordered a fresh probe into the alleged malpractices in the procurement of 12 VVIP helicopters for the Indian Air Force from Italian firm Augusta Westland. Replying to the opposition, the Defence Minister A.K. Antony was hell-bent on ensuring a fair investigation into the deal.
Once we get a report of the preliminary inquiry from the CBI, and if otherwise also we get any evidence from other courts, I assure you, we will take the strongest action as per the integrity pact.
When Congress President Sonia Gandhi's name emerged in the Choppergate scandal, the situation took an even murkier turn. No wonder the late Manohar Parrikar was right on the money when he called for a thorough investigation from all angles.
जो मैंने सर्कमस्टेंशियल एविडेंस दिखाया उससे भ्रष्टाचार कोई पावरफुल व्यक्ति के हाथ से हुआ है ये स्पष्ट हो गया. मैं किसी का नाम नहीं लूँगा, लेकिन मुझे लगता है जांच सभी एंगल से होनी चाहिए. सभी डॉक्यूमेंट्स के प्रॉपर रीडिंग, प्रॉपर उसका मतलब निकाल के करने चाहिए.
Though Congress Supremo very sternly rejected these claims.
ये आरोप जो है बिल्कुल बेबुनियाद है, निराधार है, झूठ है. आप लोग सरकार में हैं 2 साल से. इंक्वायरी जल्दी से जल्दी बिना भेदभाव कंप्लीट कर दो, सच्चाई सामने आएगी.
While the Modi government earned diplomatic acclaim for mending India-UAE ties and securing Christian Michel's extradition, his revelations did not simplify matters. Instead, with big names surfacing, the case sank into deeper murk.
क्रिश्चियन मिशेल जो अगस्ता डील के दलाल है, आप कॉइन करते हैं ये फ्रेज. आपने कहा मामा चाचा की सरकार. लोग कहते हैं आप किसको रेफर कर रहे हैं? मिशेल मामा की बात आती है. मगर सीधा सवाल ये है कि आप ये कह रहे हैं मोदी जी कि वाड्रा गांधी फैमिली या कांग्रेस पार्टी के लिंक थे क्रिश्चियन मिशेल के साथ, जैसे उनके लिंक थे ओटावियो क्वातरोकी के साथ.
मैं किसी को आरोप करना मेरा काम नहीं. ये तय है मेरी सरकार आने से पहले इन मुद्दों पर भ्रष्टाचार को लेकर के सवाल उठे थे, लेकिन जांच दबाई दी जाती थी. मैंने आकर के कहा भाई जो सत्य हो उसको खोजो. कोई केस मैंने रजिस्टर नहीं किया है, पहले हुआ है, कोर्टों से निकला हुआ है. अब क्या मैं भी लिपापोती करूं? मैं मिशेल को लाने का प्रयास करूं? मैं लाया हूं, जेल में बंद पड़ा है, वो सरकार को जानकारियां दे रहा है और लोगों को पकड़े जा रहा है.
In 1999, the Indian Air Force set out to buy 12 VVIP helicopters. By 2010, Augusta Westland had secured the rupees 3,600 crore contract. Allegations followed soon after, with claims that specifications were adjusted to help the company win, like reducing the helicopter's service ceiling from 6,000 meters to 4,500 meters. A small tweak, surely. In 2013, the CBI filed an FIR, naming former IAF chief SP Tyagi and 12 others, including his family and 3 middlemen. Notably, Italian nationals Carlo Gerosa and Guido Hashke. Michel and the other middlemen had distinct roles in the Choppergate scandal, while Gerosa and Hashke allegedly bribed the Tyagi family. Michel worked his way through the Ministry of Defense and political corridors. In 2018, Michel's lawyer Rosemary Patrici and sister Shasha Ozeman revealed he was detained in Dubai and grilled by the CBI. They claimed the officials pressured him to sign a confession, allegedly tying him to the Congress leader Sonia Gandhi during the deal's talks. Interesting, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this breaking news exclusive. I have with me Rosemary Patrici. She is Christian Michel's lawyer, and she is now in India to defend her client, an Augusta Westland accused Christian Michel. Thank you very much, Rosemary, for joining me. Why is your client, Christian Michel, not cooperating with the Indian authorities? Why is he not cooperating?
No, this is not true. No, please don't start telling things that is not true. He's cooperating, but the policy, the CBI, the investigators, they are not doing the work as I think they should do. So today I will talk with the judge, or my local lawyer will say to judge the things that we are not happy about the interrogation on CBI headquarters.
No, you are not happy, but the job of the agencies is not to make you or Christian Michel happy. The job of the agencies is to get the truth. Why is your is there some political instruction on your
no? But yes, but you see, there are many. Listen. There are many ways to get the truth, but there are ways that is not allowed by the law.
What are the ways? What are the
we
ways
have
you are
to
insinuating?
watch this, and we have to. I'm saying that he's getting a bad time. They are pushing him so hard, and that's why I'm here in Delhi, and I really trust the judge.
Rosemary, tell me, the reports say that Michel has told the CBI that his father, Wolfgang Max Richard, was known to the late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and was very close to the Gandhi family.
I told you
Is
the
that
first
correct?
time I spoke with you on 2016 that Mr. Christian Michel had a very bad relationship with his father. They had even a case in London. They had a big problem between them. They didn't get well together. Maybe because they are not in the same way of thinking. No, they have a different views of things. So
it is not incorrect to say that there is a connection between the Gandhi family and Christian Michel family.
Doesn't mean that my client. No, Arnab, you have to understand. His father is a person, my client is someone else. You cannot say that because his father was against a friend, my client must be their friends too.
Eight months after an Italian appeals court acquitted 2 former Leonardo executives, Giuseppe Orisi and Bruno Spagnolini, in the Augusta Westland bribery case, fresh revelations reignited the controversy. Just days after the court's detailed judgment, news surfaced that alleged middleman Christian Michel's extradition to India had been cleared by a Dubai court. Years have passed, accused have been apprehended, others acquitted, and multiple agencies have peeled back layer after layer of this case, yet nobody, not one soul, has cracked what the acronym BUR, FAM, AP and POL actually mean. Who or what do they point to?
Mr. Michel, can you please, since the start of this investigation, there has been mention about bribing the intermediaries and certain politicians and bureaucrats. So who were those people? Can you give some names?
Let me tell you, there's no corruption that took place in India. I was very much aware of everything. There is no corruption in India. The corruption took place in Italy. It's an Italian political affair. It's got nothing to do with India.
Christian Michel, a British national and the middleman behind the deal, remains in Indian custody. Though the Delhi High Court recently denied his bail plea, Michel claims the corruption occurred in Italy and not in India. Is this confession opening Pandora's box or charting an unexplored trajectory? One thing is clear, the case is far from over.
That's all that we could pack in this edition of the Long Form Story. We'll be back next Saturday with more in-depth stories from across the country.
Hi there, welcome back to your favorite deep dive show on stories contemporary and consequential for India. This episode comes to you from Israel. I traveled from the Golan Heights to Haifa, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, from the entrance of the Gaza Strip to where it all began, the Nova Music Festival site of October 7, 2023 attack of Hamas. What comes out of this journey is a story of a nation in perpetual conflict, but drawing from an inexhaustible supply of resolve, perhaps going back millennia. It's the story of Israel and its 8-front war. Let's get going.
Amity is proud to announce the commencement of its 12th university in India, Amity University, Hyderabad. At the prime location of AeroCity Hyderabad Airport, has a strong focus on high-end research with brilliant students and distinguished faculty who share our mission to change the world together. To apply for this year's session, visit amity.edu/Hyderabad.
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
हासिल धराली आपदा रेस्क्यू का आज 5वां दिन है और लगातार ये अभियान यहाँ पर जारी है। लगातार श्रद्धालुओं को लाया जा रहा है। 5वें दिन भी आप देख सकते हैं जहाँ एक तरफ खाद्य सामग्री पहुँचाई जा रही है, वहीं लगातार जो लोग वहाँ पर फंसे हैं उनको लाने का काम लगातार किया जा रहा है। यहीं से ही रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन लगातार संचालित किया जाता है। सुबह से देर शाम तक ये रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन चलता है। मौसम बाधा बनता है तो रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन को रोक दिया जाता है, लेकिन मौसम साथ देता है तो लगातार यहाँ से रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन ये चलता हुआ नज़र आता है। अब तस्वीरों में देख सकते हैं लगातार यहाँ पर जो श्रद्धालु फंसे हैं उन्हें लाने का काम लगातार किया जा रहा है और यहाँ से 8 चॉपर लगातार संचालित होते हैं। ये तस्वीर देखिए आप, बच्चे भी यहाँ पर हैं, मासूम से ये तमाम लोगों को लाया जा रहा है। दूर के ये श्रद्धालु हैं और उत्तराखंड पुलिस, SDRF, NDRF लगातार यहाँ पर इस ऑपरेशन को लगातार संचालित कर रही हैं। IDP जवान के गोद में आप देख सकते हैं मासूम सी गुड़ियाँ, बच्चे छोटे छोटे दूर के हैं और देखिए किस तरह से सेना यहाँ पर काम करती है। वो तस्वीर भी आप लगातार देख रहे हैं और किस प्रकार रेस्क्यू कर यहाँ पर लाया जा रहा है। मासूम छोटे से बच्चे हैं और देखिए IDP के जवानों ने गोद में इन बच्चों को उठाया है। ये तस्वीर 46। आप कहाँ से हर्षिल? गुजरात से आए? कितने दिन से फंसे थे?
वहाँ था 5 दिन हो गया, कल से।
अच्छा, अब आ गए हैं, आप ठीक महसूस कर रहे हैं?
हाँ।
आप कहाँ से?
गुजरात
से ही हैं? कितने लोग आए थे आप गुजरात से? 102 लोग। सभी लोग आ गए हैं?
आधा कल के पहुँच गए, वातावरण खराब था ना, इसलिए हमको कल
102 लोग आप लोग गुजरात से आए थे, सभी लोग निकल रहे हैं?
हाँ, अभी सब पीछे है।
पीछे।
हाँ।
तो ये देखिए 102 लोगों का ग्रुप जो गुजरात से आया था, लगातार उनको रेस्क्यू कर मातली हेलीपैड लाया जा रहा है। बहुत से लोग आ गए हैं, बहुत से लोगों को आज लाना बाकी है, लेकिन लगातार जो गुजरात के श्रद्धालु है उनको लाने का काम लगातार किया जा रहा है। इसके साथ ही महाराष्ट्र के श्रद्धालुओं को, पूरे प्रदेश की बात की जाए, देश की बात की जाए, जहाँ से भी श्रद्धालु यहाँ पर आए हुए हैं उन सभी को लाने का प्रयास लगातार किया जा रहा है। मौसम ने साथ दिया तो आज सभी को लाया जाए।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
Sarah, this is your space, play it your way. थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, ये तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा।
Hi, this is Chef Ranveer Brar and I'm here to tell you that also gives me the license to guarantee you brilliance on behalf of IIHM.
Join International Institute of Hotel Management.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता, उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ,
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा प्योर मसाला।
The Indian Ministry of Defence's decision to pause the acquisition of 6 additional Boeing P-8I Poseidon aircraft valued at $3.6 billion marks a significant inflection point in India's strategic calculus. Announced on August 7, 2025, the move coincides with the United States' imposition of a 25% tariff on Indian exports, a unilateral action by President Donald Trump that has sharply escalated trade tensions. While not a cancellation, the halt is a deliberate signal. India is prepared to reassess its reliance on American defense platforms if economic coercion begins to undermine bilateral trust. The P-8I, a customized variant of the Boeing 737-800 ERX, has been a cornerstone of India's maritime surveillance architecture since its induction in 2009. The initial $2.2 billion deal for 8 aircraft was followed by a $1 billion contract for 4 more in 2016. Today, the Indian Navy operates 12 P-8Is and has long advocated for a fleet of 18 to ensure comprehensive coverage of the Indian Ocean region. However, the cost of the platform has surged by nearly 50% since the 2021 offer, driven by global supply chain disruptions and inflationary pressures. This spike, coupled with competing budgetary demands such as the Rafale M acquisition and indigenous programs under Atmanirbhar Bharat, has forced a strategic reassessment. Operationally, the P-8I has proven indispensable. It has logged over 40,000 flight hours, supporting missions that span intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, that is ISR, anti-submarine warfare, that is ASW, and humanitarian assistance. During the 2020-2021
from Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Republic TV with me, Akanksha Khajuri. And top of the hour, we'll get you the biggest news update on Operation Sindur and what the Indian Air Force has said today. Much and more of this. The headlines first.
The SAGW systems, mostly from, I'm talking about fighter aircraft, are from S-400. We have at least 5 fighters confirmed kills and 1 large aircraft, which could be either an Elint aircraft or an AWNC aircraft, which was taken out at a distance of about 300 kilometers.
Biggest story broken first on Republic TV. Chief of Air Staff confirms India shot down 5 Pakistani jets. Speaking on Operation Sindur, Chief of Air Staff shows the proof of damages done by the Indian air strikes to Pakistan.
I want to make it very clear, there were no, I repeat, no restrictions on us. Full freedom was given to us to plan and execute.
Indian Air Force Chief gets into the specifics, says India decided, India planned and India executed, and then there was no restriction on the forces. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says that annual defence production has soared to an all-time high figure. Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav has repeated China stolen our land claim once again. He says that if anyone has ever taken away India's land the most, it is China. Arjikar case victim Abhaya parents allege police assault during the march to Nabarna today. Well, top of the hour, let's get you update on what Indian Air Force today said on Operation Sindur. And after Indian Air Force Chief takes on the Saboot gang, Union Minister Kiren Rijiju takes on Rahul Gandhi and urged him to maintain the decorum in the parliament. Rahul Gandhi in his speech had claimed that the government had tied hands to the Indian Air Force pilots, and now Kiren Rijiju has in fact attacked Rahul Gandhi, saying, and I quote, "I request Rahul Gandhi to maintain the decorum of Indian Parliament. Why do you always keep lying? I have witnessed many leaders of opposition who had maintained parliamentary standards. You have not only lowered your own stature but damaged India's high reputation," as well as a big attack that has come on Bharatiya Janata Party as far as Rahul Gandhi's claims are concerned. Now, Indian Air Force Chief has taken on Saboot gang. Speaking about India's recent Operation Sindur against Pakistan, Air Chief Marshal Amarpreet Singh has recalled the challenge of convincing the public about the extent of damage during the 2019 Balakot airstrike. He said, and I quote, "I'm very happy that this time we were able to take care of that ghost of Balakot and tell the world what we have achieved in Operation Sindur." Listen in.
In Balakot, we could not get anything from inside, and it became a big issue, trying to tell our own people, unfortunately our own people, as to what we have been able to achieve. We had intelligence of what has gone on inside. We had intelligence of, a human kind of intelligence, where we had very clear picture of inside in terms of there has been huge damage. There have been so many terrorists which have been utilized, but we could not convince our own people that, look, we have achieved that. But this time again, a thing like this would have given us the same problem. But we were lucky, and we got these videos on the open. This is the same building from inside. You see the amount of damage that it has created, because all these penetration weapons, the sound is from that video. So they cause this kind of damage. From outside, you get a feeling as if it's just a small hole. So I'm very happy that this time we were able to, take care of that ghost of Balakot, that we were able to tell the world what we have achieved.
And you heard this point-by-point detail that has come from Indian Air Force on Operation Sindur. But when it comes to the opposition parties, they remain relentless on their attack on the central government. We'll show you the reaction that is coming from Congress leader Udit Raj. He has said that Prime Minister betrayed the nation. He also said that we should not have agreed to a ceasefire, and asked why the Prime Minister did not respond to US President's claim of brokering a ceasefire. In fact, Aam Aadmi Party's Saurabh Bhardwaj has also asked the government that despite winning, why did the central government step back? Listen in.
मैं अमरप्रीत सिंह की बात को पूरी तरह से सहमत होते हुए कि हमने पाकिस्तान के 5 जहाज मार गिराए, पाकिस्तान की हालत खस्ता थी, तब तो ट्रम्प के कहने से सीज फायर करना नहीं चाहिए था और पीओके ले लेना चाहिए था। जब पाकिस्तान सरेंडर ही कर गया था और उसकी हालत खराब थी। तो जो बीजेपी का और आरएसएस का 1951 से या 47 से या कहा जा सकता है पहले का योजना थी पीओके की लेने की, ये चूक क्यों गए? इसके मतलब कि मोदी जी ने देश के साथ में विश्वासघात किया।
देखिए, एयर चीफ मार्शल साहब ने जो आज बात बोली उससे हमारे सवाल और ज़्यादा पुख्ता हो गए। महीनों से सरकार इस बात को छुपा रही थी। एयर चीफ मार्शल साहब ने बताया कि पाकिस्तान के 6 एयरक्राफ्ट उड़ाए गए, 5 उसमें जेट थे। हम युद्ध जीत रहे थे, पाकिस्तान हार रहा था, हम उनके छक्के छुड़ा रहे थे। तो किस दबाव में केंद्र सरकार ने सीज फायर किया, ये केंद्र सरकार बताए। ये तो मौका था जब आप पाकिस्तान से अपना कश्मीर वापस छीन के ला सकते थे। एक जीता हुआ युद्ध आप उसके अंदर युद्ध विराम कर रहे थे, ये बात आज सरकार को बतानी पड़ेगी।
Now let's get you more details on what was said today. The Indian Air Force decimated 5 Pakistani fighter jets, including the F-16s and a critical AWACS surveillance aircraft, marking a historic milestone in the military aviation. And this operation was powered by a game-changing S-400 air defense system, achieved the longest ever record surface-to-air kill, silencing those who questioned the forces when Operation Sindur took place. And the key takeaway from the Air Chief Marshal's speech is in this next report. Watch this.
Operation Sindur, India's biggest military success and Pakistan's worst nightmare. A 23-minute precise military strike executed in response to the Pahalgam massacre. And while terror state Pakistan stands globally exposed, Indian Air Force Air Chief Marshal AP Singh has set the record straight. In a 55-minute speech, he has laid bare the facts of how India hammered Pakistan. And this is what the naysayers must hear.
Fighter aircraft are from S-400. We have at least 5 fighters confirmed kills and 1 large aircraft, which could be either an ELINT aircraft or an AWACS aircraft, which was taken out at a distance of about 300 kilometers. This is the actually largest ever recorded surface-to-air kill.
His speech isn't just about hailing the operation. It's about recognizing the precise execution of a 23-minute assault on Pakistan's terror dens that dismantled their systems.
Our air defense systems have done a wonderful job. The S-400 system, which we had recently bought, has been a game changer. The range of that system has really kept their aircraft away from their weapons like those long-range glide bombs that they have. They have not been able to use any one of those because they have not been able to penetrate this system.
The largest ever surface-to-air kill, his statements come as a message to enemies within and outside the nation.
In Balakot, we could not get anything from inside, and it became a big issue trying to tell our own people, unfortunately our own people, as to what we have been able to achieve. We had intelligence of what has gone on inside. We had intelligence of, a human kind of intelligence where we had very clear picture of inside in terms of there has been huge damage. There have been so many terrorists which have been utilized. But we could not convince our own people that, look, we have achieved that. So I'm very happy that this time we were able to, take care of that ghost of Balakot, that we were able to tell the world what we have achieved.
The Air Chief Marshal has also highlighted how full operational freedom was given to the forces. And that is how India planned, India executed, and India delivered.
We had also said, it was made very clear that this time it should be an emphatic thing that we do. We must send the message across loud and clear to them. It should not be something just limited to launch pads and training areas. It should be, if the leadership, the terrorist leadership should be challenged. So we were all called in, and we discussed a few options. Then all the other agencies also joined in. And then we decided on those 9 targets.
And the moment that Saboot gang definitely wasn't waiting for is finally here. Day after day, session after session, spin after spin, the ecosystem doubted Operation Sindur and its success as well. Questioning the central government and the credibility of our forces, they turned out our military retaliation into a political dogfight. But the truth is finally out. Watch this.
The war of numbers is over. The truth is out, and it's an eye-opener, especially for those who tried to turn Operation Sindur into a political fight.
One side is honorable member.
For weeks, opposition leaders painted a picture of loss. They even hinted at hidden truths and demanded answers that questioned the credibility of our armed forces.
क्या होगा? हवाई जहाज गिरेंगे? Right? So the point is, aircraft were lost. As this gentleman Shiv Kumar says, they were lost because of the constraint given by the political leadership to not attack the military and air defense infrastructure of the Pakistan.
Today, the Indian Air Force Chief himself has spoken. No spin, no politics, just hard military facts to debunk the Saboot gang.
Our air defense systems have done a wonderful job. The S-400 system, which we had recently bought, has been a game changer. The range of that system has really kept their aircraft away from their weapons like, the long-range glide bombs that they have. They have not been able to use any one of those.
6 enemy aircraft downed and smoked from the skies. Enemy ambitions completely crushed and reduced to dust. And yet, the opposition kept the nation guessing, casting shadows on a mission that kept India's skies secure. Well, the fog has cleared, and what it reveals is not Indian losses, but Pakistani humiliation and decimation.
The SAGW systems, mostly from, I'm talking about fighter aircraft are from S-400. We have at least 5 fighters confirmed killed and 1 large aircraft, which could be either an Elint aircraft or an AWNC aircraft, which was taken out at a distance of about 300 kilometers. This is the actually largest ever recorded surface-to-air kill that we can talk about. And
the numbers speak for themselves. 5 Pakistani fighters, 1 airborne command aircraft, 0 doubt about who dominated the skies, and perhaps 0 excuses left for those who doubted our forces and our strong retaliation to Islamabad.
In another statement that was given by Indian Air Force Chief, he has given out the details about how the Pakistani terror dens were destroyed by India during Operation Sindur. Listen into what he said.
As far as concerned, this is what it was, the LET headquarters. This is shifted. I think something is on that. These are the 2 main buildings. These circles should be here on this building and this building. And these 2 things, circles are in this area. This again is their, if I can say, the senior leadership's residential area where they were staying. And these were their office building and their building where they used to get together to conduct their meetings. This is one of the videos that we have because this was within our range. So we could get this video from the weapon itself. If you notice here, somewhere here was the first impact of the previous weapon. And if you see the next one now, the video continues, you can see the smoke of the previous weapon somewhere here. And this weapon is for the main building, that big building that we see. That was the point of impact. And this is the damage that you see on the... They've sorted me out here, my team. So before attack, these were DMPI 3 and 4. And after the impact, it's not very clear. The display is not very clear. But I think the brightness of this big display is always an issue. So this is the DMPI, this is the bomb that you saw in that video before. And here this whole picture has shifted. And this is the impact that we see on the main and one on the office building. Office building, you can see it's already decimated quite badly. Here you see just a pinprick. Let it be. It's just a pinprick here. But I want to bring out something here. You know, when we did Balakot, we had something similar. I have a slide on that. You see here, in Balakot also, we had similar, you know, this pinpricks being seen from the different satellite which is giving you. So here, sorry. So here you can see the damage, which is, of course, not coming out very clear in this, but other pictures, here these two buildings, you can see the damage much clearly.